Imagine a realm stretching from Siberia's tundra to the Black Sea, a colossal power, the Russian Empire. For over 2 centuries, the Romanovs ruled a mosaic of cultures, languages, and religions, all under the Tsar's absolute authority. The empire's story begins in 1721 with Peter the Great, who modernized Russia, built St. Petersburg, and reformed the military. His successors, like Catherine the Great, expanded the borders, absorbing lands across Europe and Asia. The double-headed eagle symbolized Russia's vast, dual identity, looking both east and west. In St. Petersburg, nobles danced in glittering ballrooms, while writers like Tolstoy and composers like Tchaikovsky shaped world culture. Yet, beneath the grandeur, most Russians were peasants, many still serfs, living in poverty and hardship. The Tsar's autocracy allowed no democracy or free press. Dissent was crushed by secret police. This deep divide between elite and masses created a tension simmering beneath the empire's glittering surface. The Russian Empire was a world of contrasts, dazzling culture and crushing oppression. Its legacy would shape not just Russia, but the world. The seeds of its downfall were already sown in its very foundations. The grandeur masked a growing storm. Even the mightiest empires can crumble if their foundations are weak. By the early 1900s, the Russian Empire was cracking under the strain of World War I. Millions died, the army faltered, and the home front starved. The war exposed deeper problems: social inequality and a restless, impoverished population. Peasants remained poor after serfdom's end. Workers toiled in harsh conditions. Revolutionary ideas spread. Liberals wanted reform, but the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, promised radical change: peace, land, and bread. The Tsar, Nicholas II, resisted reform, clung to autocracy, and relied on dubious advisors like Rasputin. In 1917, protests exploded. Soldiers joined the crowds instead of suppressing them. Nicholas II abdicated, ending 3 centuries of Romanov rule. The empire collapsed, swept away by war, inequality, and failed leadership. The Russian Revolution was not inevitable, but the empire's refusal to change sealed its fate. The world would never be the same. The old order was gone, and a new, uncertain era began. The fall of the empire sent shockwaves across the globe. A new chapter in history was about to be written. But what if the Russian Empire had chosen a different path? Imagine, in 1905, after defeat by Japan and revolution at home, Tsar Nicholas II embraces real reform. He creates a true constitutional monarchy, empowering a democratic Duma. Liberals and moderate socialists gain a voice, isolating extremists like the Bolsheviks. The Tsar becomes a unifying symbol, not a target. A progressive prime minister, perhaps Stolypin, implements land reforms, creating a loyal, prosperous peasantry. Labor laws improve factory conditions. Workers gain rights. When World War I erupts, Russia is more stable, united, and resilient. The government, now a partnership, manages the war effort competently. The February Revolution never comes. Lenin remains in exile. The empire survives the war, battered but intact. Russia enters the 20th century as a reformed constitutional power. The storm of revolution is averted. History takes a different turn. A surviving Russian empire would redraw the 20th century map. No Bolshevik revolution means no Soviet Union, no Cold War, no Iron Curtain, no nuclear arms race. Instead of 2 superpowers, the world becomes multipolar: the US, Britain, France, and a reformed Russian Empire. Russia remains a conservative, traditionalist force, shaping Eastern Europe and Asia. Communist movements in China, Korea, and Vietnam falter without Soviet support. The Pacific's balance shifts. Japan faces a powerful Russia to the north. International institutions like the League of Nations might thrive with Russia's participation. The ideological battlefield changes. Without communism, Western politics evolve differently. The great isms, communism, fascism, liberal democracy, play out on new terms. The world's conflicts and alliances are transformed. The Russian Empire's survival changes everything. The 20th century is unrecognizable. In this alternate world, Russia's cultural silver age never ends, it flourishes. New generations of writers and composers build on the legacies of Tolstoy and Stravinsky. Russian culture, blending East and West, becomes a global force. The monarchy and Orthodox Church remain central, shaping public life and tradition. Society is more conservative and religious, with the Church influencing education and morality. Yet, the empire's stability attracts talent. St. Petersburg and Moscow rival Paris and London as centers of art and science. Debates shift from capitalism versus communism to tradition versus modernity, faith versus reason. But the empire's diversity brings challenges. Managing dozens of ethnic groups is a constant struggle. A more liberal empire might grant minorities more rights, but the temptation for Russification persists. Ethnic tensions and separatist movements simmer beneath the surface. The Russian Empire's cultural richness is matched by its complexity. Its society is vibrant but never free from internal conflict. The empire's identity remains a work in progress. Technological progress in a surviving Russian empire takes a unique path. Without the Cold War, the space race is slower, perhaps more collaborative, or a prestige contest among empires. Russia's tradition of scientific innovation continues. Imagine a vast network of high-speed trains across Siberia. The empire becomes an energy superpower, exploiting Siberia's resources. Technology binds the vast nation together. Massive infrastructure, ambitious engineering. The internet, born from imperial universities or state needs, is more controlled and censored. The digital world reflects the empire's values order over freedom. Military technology focuses on conventional power, tanks, ships, aircraft, rather than nuclear arms. The world is spared the terror of nuclear war, but great power rivalries remain. The Russian Empire's technological ambitions shape the global future. Progress is real, but always on the state's terms. The empire's might is built on innovation and control. The world is safer in some ways, but more volatile in others. Picture Anya, a young designer in St. Petersburg, living in the empire's modern age. Her apartment is beautiful, her life comfortable, but her internet is filtered by the state. She feels pride in her culture, but frustration at limits on free expression. Her education celebrates imperial glory and loyalty to the Tsar and church. Science and math are world-class, but history is state-approved. Anya works in a hybrid economy. Private firms thrive, but the state controls key industries. Universal healthcare and pensions provide security, but also dependence on the state. As an ethnic Russian, Anya is part of the majority, but her friend Timur, a Tatar, faces subtle discrimination. Their friendship reflects the empire's challenge forging unity from diversity. The empire's stability brings prosperity, but also conformity. Anya's world is rich and secure, but not truly free. The Russian Empire's greatest test is building a shared identity. The task is far from finished. The survival of the Russian Empire is a double-edged sword. On the plus side, the world avoids the horrors of Soviet totalitarianism and the Cold War's nuclear terror. Russian art, literature, and music continue to enrich humanity. A traditional, faith-based society offers a powerful alternative to Western consumerism. State-driven science might yield breakthroughs in space or energy, but the empire remains authoritarian. Free speech and dissent are limited. Minorities struggle for rights. National self-determination is suppressed. Imperial competition replaces ideological conflict. Wars between empires may be just as bloody. The absence of communism doesn't guarantee peace. Humanity's flaws, ambition, conflict persist. The world trades one set of problems for another. Progress is never simple. Imagining this alternate history reveals how fragile our reality is. The fall of the Russian Empire shaped the 20th century, its wars, ideologies, and technologies. A surviving empire means a world of stability and tension, tradition and control. The word superpower might never exist, just great powers vying for influence. Humanity's challenges remain, but the tools to face them are different. History is not predetermined, it's shaped by choices and chance. The Russian Empire's legacy endures, haunting our present. This alternate world is a story of trade-offs, order without liberty, peace without progress. It reminds us that every path has its price. Our timeline is just one of many possible worlds. Its value lies in its uniqueness and its lessons for the future.